Just think about it. What if you had to spend the next 20 years without internet, without a phone, without another human soul, stuck in a frozen forest? Could you stay alive? In Siberia's snow-buried woods, one guy actually pulled it off. 20 years now, he's totally alone. No neighbors, no family, just snow everywhere, icy winds, and wolves howling in the distance. His house? A tiny cabin slapped together from logs and mud. Food? Whatever the forest coughs up. Cold so brutal, even water turns to stone. Yet somehow, he's happy, he's breathing, and best of all, he's free. People ditch the city sometimes to find peace, but this dude ditched civilization itself just to feel alive. Who is this guy? Why'd he cut every tie with the world? And the big one, how the heck is he still kicking in that killer cold? Come on. Today we're heading into Siberia's mystery woods, where one lone human teaches us what life really means. Picture this. Morning temp, -58. Snow in every direction. And all you've got is an axe, a couple rusty tools, and a little shack. This ain't some movie. This is the real deal for the man who walked away from everything 20 years ago and vanished into Siberia's frozen jungle, solo. But the question is, why? What fear? What burnout? What dream dragged him to a place where even animals don't hang around long? Truth is, his name was Yuri. Just a regular guy, exactly like you or me. He used to live in the city crowd, punch the clock, collect a paycheck every month, drown in daily stress. Then one day it hit him. He wasn't living, he was just getting by. Same day, same grind, faces packed together in the streets, but a giant hole inside his soul. He asked himself, is this it? Work, eat, sleep, die? And right there, his story kicked off. One morning he said, enough. He grabbed a few essentials, some seeds, and faith in himself. Didn't tell a soul, just walked out of his old house and into that frozen world where your breath freezes midair. Deep in the forest, he saw fear and magic at the same time. Trees so tall the sky disappears, snow so deep trails vanish. But the man inside him, he broke loose. The first days were no joke. First night, he thought he'd die. Cold drilled straight into his bones, fingers numb while he fumbled to light a fire. But when the first ray of sun slipped through the cracks of his tiny shack, he felt it. He wasn't fighting fear anymore. He was fighting for life. That was the moment he promised himself. No turning back. Now I'll learn to live, not the way society teaches, but the way nature does. Think about it. When's the last time you lasted a full day without your phone? Restless in an hour, right? Now imagine, 20 years, just forest, silence, and you arguing with yourself. He built a new routine in the wild. Mornings chopping wood, grabbing water before it freezes, cooking whatever he could scrounge. Every day a survival test. Every night a fresh win. Little by little he realized, living in the forest is brutal, sure, but it's honest. No masks, no faking, no lies. A tree is what it is. The cold doesn't hide. And that raw truth became his first life lesson. Until you stare your fear in the face, you'll never know who you really are. But the real story's just getting started. Because right when he thought he'd beaten fear, a monster storm rolled in and wiped out everything. Did he hold on? Did he ever think about heading back? Next part, you'll find out the twist that changed his life forever. Now the real test begins for that man, because Siberia's forest doesn't forgive anyone. Every morning kicked off with one question. Will I still be breathing tonight? Temp -58, wood frozen stiff, water solid ice, and wind so mean it hurt to breathe. Listen to his daily grind. Dawn, chopping wood, scraping snow just to light it, melting ice so he could drink, then heading out to hunt or fish. Some weeks, 3 straight days with nothing, hunger stabbing his gut. But he refused to quit. He learned everything has its season, even death. At night, when the last flame died, he'd sit by the coals, remember his old city days, and whisper, I'm not that guy anymore. Cold locked his fingers, lips cracked and bled. But his grit never cracked. Fear was everywhere. Bear tracks, hidden lakes under snow, sudden gusts that could bury a man. Still, through it all, he slowly turned himself into a soldier. Every day a battle, every day a win. Now picture this. Most of us freak if the office Wi-Fi drops, and this dude went weeks without hearing another human voice. That's the difference. He wasn't chasing comfort. He was hunting his real strength. In that freeze, he learned the truest heat doesn't come from fire. It comes from pure will. Then one night, when he finally thought he had it handled, a blizzard dropped out of the sky and buried his shack, his gear, even his hope. And that's where the chapter started that both shattered his soul and forged it brand new. In that frozen world where you can walk 1,000 miles and never see another footprint, the worst enemy wasn't cold or hunger, it was loneliness. Sunlight showed up for a couple hours, then everything vanished into white darkness. No sound, just your heartbeat and the wind hissing. A few months in, Yuri realized he wasn't just surrounded by forest. He was trapped in a mental maze where every silence screamed a question. Am I still human? Am I going crazy? He started carving notches on wood to count days, but pretty soon he lost track. Day and night blurred. Sometimes he'd talk out loud, then freeze, terrified. I'm not talking to anyone, so who just answered? That's when the war between mind and soul kicked off. He figured out loneliness can kill slower and deeper than death. Think about it. We panic after 5 minutes alone and grab our phones. But this guy spent 20 years on airplane mode, 0 human voices. Yet inside that same loneliness, he discovered a weird peace. He learned when you cut the world off, you finally plug into yourself. Conquering your own head turned out tougher than dodging bears. Some days he'd draw pictures of his old city in the snow, then erase them, reminding himself he wasn't part of any world anymore, just part of nature. And one day, when everything felt normal, a wolf howl echoed miles away, and he caught himself smiling, because by then he wasn't scared of the quiet. He'd made friends with it. But what came next was his hardest trial yet, when nature stopped acting like a buddy and surrounded him like an enemy. As the years rolled by, the bond between Yuri and the forest started to shift. What used to be his enemy had turned into his mama. He finally got it. Out here, the line between life and death is one single breath. He learned to read every sound the woods made, what the wind was saying, which way the trees leaned meant weather coming, and which set of paw prints screamed trouble. Little by little, he molded himself to nature's rules. He wasn't just living in the forest anymore. He'd become part of the furniture. He figured out the exact second to melt snow in winter, how to smell damp wood, when bears hit the hunting trail, when fish broke the surface. All of it straight from experience, no textbooks. Now think about it. We city folks won't leave the house without the weather app, and this dude could sniff a blizzard coming with 0 gadgets. Nobody handed him that know-how. Nature taught him, sometimes with a slap, sometimes with a hug. One day a bear strolled right up to his shack. He didn't bolt. He just stood calm, locked eyes, and a minute later, the bear walked off. That's when Yuri realized fear ain't the biggest weapon out here. Balance is. He told himself, I ain't a guest here, I'm the neighbor. Under the snow, he dug a pond so he'd have water all winter. Between the trees, he carved a private trail. Come summer, the same trees that once tried to crush his roof gave him shade. He learned when you stop fighting nature and start listening, she stops fighting you and stands beside you. But the real gut check came when nature decided to remind him who's boss. A storm that didn't just dump snow. It came to erase his whole existence. That blizzard raged 3 days and 3 nights. Snow swallowed his shack, wood soaked through, fire snuffed out. And for the first time, Yuri felt this might actually be it. He felt himself getting buried alive. But then a voice inside hollered, "Get up." Not yet. He scraped together his last ounce of fight, punched a hole through the snow, and crawled out. Beard iced solid, lips blue, but his eyes blazing with brand new fire. That moment, his rebirth. After that, Yuri never called the forest an enemy again. He said, "Nature doesn't break me, she forges me." That mindset became his superpower. Slowly, he turned into some kind of wilderness monk. His home wasn't the snow anymore, it was his heart. He'd talk to the pines, read the wind like tea leaves, and treat every sunrise like a fresh page. Picture this. We whine if we're stuck in 5 minutes of city rain, and this guy lived 20 years in a snow globe without a single complaint. For Yuri, it wasn't just survival. It was freedom. He snapped civilization's handcuffs clean off and never looked back. Whenever a lost hunter or traveler stumbled across his spot, Yuri'd just grin and say, "People hunt freedom in the city. I found mine right here." His body got old, but his soul stayed 21. like he'd inhaled the whole forest with every breath. Every morning when he woke up, the sun crawling over the snow whispered, "You don't live scared anymore. You live alive." That was the man's greatest win. He didn't change himself. He changed the way he saw the world. But the story doesn't end here. Because every time fresh snow falls, folks swear, deep in the woods there's still an old log shack and smoke still curls out of the chimney. Maybe Yuri's still kicking, in his real home, in his real world. So yeah, that's the tale of the Siberia guy who proved loneliness ain't always weakness. Sometimes it's straight up strength. Most of us can't last a day without Wi-Fi. And he rolled 20 years without power, without people, without cushions. Ever wonder, if the world ended tomorrow, could we live like he does? If this story lit up what guts, heart, and simple living can do, smash that like button, share it with your crew, and hit subscribe for more real-life survival gold. Because sometimes the wildest adventures hide way out past civilization, in the deep, quiet woods.